Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, last session we started discussing about OOP concepts in JavaScript OOP. We learned about modules. How do we work with modules? So, module we discussed about how to export the members, how to default export, and how to import. These are the basic things. Next, after understanding modules, generally a module can contain what? Variables and functions, but usually a module can contain class. We will see what is a class in object oriented programming. So technically, what is class? Class is a program template. Technically, class is a program template. What is meant by program template? Template means nothing but template comprises of predefined data and logic. It contains predefined data and logic which you can implement and customize according to requirements. So template means it contains ready-made data and logic. So what is advantage is we can implement and customize according to requirement. For example, I will give you actually class is defined as logical entity or model. It is defined as logical entity or model. What is meant by logical entity? What is model? We will see. Generally, one small example I will show here. Suppose we have a class. So we generally have a class. This is a button class. Generally, this class contains like button text. So like button width, like button height. So button have a open method, close method, some save method. Like this, various methods are there for a button. Print method like this. Now we want to build one application. So in this application, we want two buttons. One button for saving, another button for printing. Then generally, in order to create a button object, every button object, that means we need two buttons. So this is one button, this is another button, we need two buttons. Now important is these two buttons are belonging to same family. These two buttons belong to the same family. So these two buttons are derived from this button class. So both buttons are derived from this button class. So, but will both have same functionality? They are coming from same class. That means this class is actually a template. This class is a template. This template provides some sample data and function. So it provides sample data and logic. Now what we do, we created one button and we are using this button in our application. But for this button, what we can do here, we will give text as save. And for this button, we will use this functionality. The save function we will use for this button. We are using another button. We are using another button. This is another button. For this button, we will use the text as suppose open. Open. Can I give functionality save for this button also? Yes. A button can have save, a button can have open, a button can have print. That means the same functionality I can give for this button also. But generally what we do for this button, we give a different functionality. That means these two buttons look different. These two buttons work different, but these two buttons are derived from same logic. Am I right? That means both buttons may look different. Both buttons may work different, but all the data and logic for both buttons are coming from one single class. So technically, what is a class? Technically, class is a template. This template will provide data and logic, which you can implement and customize according to requirements. Then in many times, when you are learning OOP languages, Java, .NET, C++, there they will teach you like Java class is called as a model or a blueprint. In many OOP languages, they will tell you class is a blueprint. Class is not a blueprint. It have a behavior of blueprint. Class have a behavior of blueprint. Actually, class can be referred as entity or class can be referred as model. So here, see, the requirements will be like this. Generally, suppose we have, this is business requirement and this is data. Generally, what we do is in real world projects, according to the business requirements, we prepare the data. According to the business requirements, we prepare the data. Now, developers have to write a class to communicate with them. And if this class is mapping to business requirements, then this class is called as, we call it as entity. If the class is mapping to data requirements, then this class is called as model. So is class model or entity? Is class model or entity? Both. Is class model every time? No. Class is considered as model if it is representing data. If it is having data, it is representing data, it is interacting with the data, then we call the class as model. So class is called entity when it is interacting with the business. So class is not an entity every time. Class is not a model. Then what is class every time? Class every time is a template. Class every time is a template. So it can work as entity or it can work as model. So class is defined as logical entity. So class have the behavior of entity when it is mapping with business requirements. And class have the behavior of model when it is mapping with Mapping with which requirements? Data requirements, that is class. So class, already I explained one example in CSS, I think. So in CSS I already explained the concept of classes, pseudo classes we learned. When we learned about pseudo classes, I explained that. I will tell you what is a class, why it is a predefined logic and all. Suppose, see here, what is a class detail we will see actual now. Now in this actual requirement, suppose see we have, yeah, so we are having some HTML page. Yeah, in this page, suppose there is a heading. Now I said some welcome. Now when heading is active, I want to apply some color. When heading is active, I want to apply some color for that. So we want to apply some color when heading is active. So that's what we want to do. Then active means what? Generally active means when mouse is over and mouse button hold down. When you hold down the mouse button, that is active. When user moves the mouse onto it and hold down, then it becomes active. Generally for that, we have to write a logic like on mouse down, on mouse down. So active is the function. We have to write a script. In that we have a function called active. We have to access document query selector heading 1 dot style dot color is equal to red. Like this I define. Now what happens is when I move the mouse onto heading and hold down the button, it is red. I release the button, it should be normal. It should be normal. So I have to write another function inactive and document dot query selector heading 1 style dot color is equal to black. And here on this mouse we have to write another event. So on mouse up, on mouse up is inactive. That means when I move the mouse onto it and hold down, that becomes active, and release, it becomes inactive. Now this is a very lengthy process. That means we have to write 2 events, we have to write 2 functions, we have to identify on which element they click. Now the same work, you see, I am writing heading 2, or say I am writing on heading 2. So here I said hello JavaScript. On this heading 2, when they hold down the mouse, I want to apply some color. So see what I am doing. I am using style. I am accessing heading 2. Here I am applying a class called active. I am applying a class called active. Active is a class. Now do you know what this active class will do? Class means what? Ready-made logic, ready-made functionality. That means now what this class will do? It will verify is the mouse over heading 2. It will verify is the mouse is down, and if it is down, then it will apply the color some green. Apply the color green, and it will verify whether the mouse is up. If the mouse is up, automatically it will set to normal. You see now, I am moving the mouse onto it, hold down, it is green, and release, it is normal. Now the same work we done above also, but we have to write a lot of logic. We have to write a lot of events, lot of functionality. Now, what is a class? It contains predefined logic, predefined functionality. Just you have to implement and use. So that means this is class. So when you apply the class, it will verify is mouse down or mouse up. If down, it will apply some effects. If up, it will set to normal. The same work we have to manually do. So what is advantage of a class? It will make the code reusable. It will make the development process more faster. It will allow us to reuse the code without rewriting the code. So if I want heading or paragraph active, then I need to just access this active and use on paragraph. We can reuse, we can reduce the number of lines to write. So we can improve the development speed and the performance of application. This is what the concept of a class is. So class contains predefined data and logic, which you can implement and customize according to requirements. So that is the main concept of a class. So here, generally, many times people say class as entity or class or model. All are correct. But what is the first point? Before class is an entity or a model, class is a template. Sometimes OOP learners will call class as a blueprint. Class is not a blueprint. It have a behavior of blueprint. Just now I showed you buttons. 2 buttons came from same class. Like that, any number of buttons can come from the class. That means now class is working as, that means here I showed you already. So what we saw already previous. So this is button. Now these 2 buttons are coming from the same class. Like that, how many buttons you can create for a class? You can create any number of buttons. So this is now working as, that means just like you see, suppose you want some visiting card or we want some wedding card. Then if you want a wedding card, then you go to DTP operators. Then DTP operator will show you some blueprints. He will show you some blueprints. In that blueprint, you have to just mention what names, what location you want details. And from that blueprint, hundreds of duplicates are printed. All look similar. All look similar. But whenever they want, size, content, everything is same. But they can change colors. They can change fonts according to their requirement. So a blueprint means a model from where multiple duplicates can be derived, multiple copies can be derived. So that is the reason learners will say that class works like a blueprint. That means from the class, several duplicates may come. So the duplicates are considered as what they are considered as objects. They are considered as objects. So technically, class is also have the behavior of a blueprint. So class is a template. That is only the definition you have to give. So if anyone asks what is a class, then always give the definition program template. Now, important class members. So class configuration first. Configuration, how you configure a class. Class can be configured in 2 ways. So we have class declaration and we have class expression. we have two ways. Class can be configured in two ways: class declaration and class expression. Class declaration will be like this: class and class name and its members. Whatever members are there, we have to define. This is called class declaration. Class expression will be like this. Class expression will be constant. Some class name is equal to class and whatever the members of the class. This is called class expression. This is called class expression. So a class can be configured in two ways. One is declaration, another one expression. Already you learned the purpose of this actually. In function also I told you. If you remembered what we discussed about function, if you remembered, so function F1. And here already we discussed this. So here we have constant F1 is equal to function. What is difference between both? What is the difference? What is the difference? So left first one, it is a function. Now what happens for this function? A memory is allocated. A memory is allocated and all the functionalities will be managed in that memory. What is the second one? F1, constant F1, that is memory reference. In that memory reference, some functionality is there. What is advantage of this? In that memory, the functions can change according to the situation. Already we discussed that. I told you callback now. That means a function can change in the reference. So that means for function 1 left side, memory is allocated. And in that memory, the same function will be working. But for F1 here, right side, memory is allocated. In that function can be changing. This function can be changing. Already we saw that. Success, failure, I showed you that. The reference is only one, but function will be changing. Similarly, when you are declaring a class, actually class can have same. When I'm writing a class can have the class name product, or we can have a constant or var or let, anything. Constant, so we have employee is equal to class and we can configure in this way. What is advantage is in this employee, this class can change dynamically. So whereas here for this class, the standard memory is allocated and in that memory only that member will be working. But here this is employee is not class name. Employee is what? Reference for the class. In that reference, this class can be changed. According to situation, you can load one class, another situation, another class. We can load different classes into that reference according to the situation. That is what actually the point. Suppose you see here, now I'm using var choice is equal to, suppose I defined choice as, suppose I given prompt, enter choice, like this I define. Now here what should happen is, this is the class as template. This is a template. Now what should happen is here, if choice is equal to, if choice is equal to button, then what should happen is, so into this template, that means we need to configure a constant into this template. If you want declaration, then you can simply put here template is equal to, here we will put a variable where what template. So now template is equal to class. In this class, button have what? Text. In the text we will put some button, so like button. So means you can add anything into it. Suppose I am having width, so that means these are button related properties. So button related properties we are defining. If it is not this, else what should happen? Into the template a different class is loaded. Understood? And in this class it can have value is equal to, suppose some text box something, and it is having some other details like some height is some height, so 400 pixel, like this. It can have different other options. That means now what? In this memory same class is not working. Depending on the situation it is changing the class. So what is class expression and class declaration? Class declaration means a memory allocated for a class and the same members will be in that memory. Only the class related members will be in the memory. In class expression, memory is allocated. In that memory there can be different classes. That means we can change the functionality according to situation. That is what I explained in the concept of button also. So why we need a class expression? So and class declaration. Actually class declaration configures a stable memory for a specific class, so where it can handle only specified class members. It can handle only specified class members. Whereas class expression is a reference memory for class, where the class members can change. According to state and situation. That is what actually class expression. So we have class reference declaration, another one is class expression. So you can configure the classes in two ways. Just roughly syntax I will give here. So later we will see proper examples also how to handle them. So that is general syntax I given. That means now template is a memory. In that template memory we can load a class, but is it a standard class loaded every time? No, that depends on what you choice enter. If choice is button, it works like button. If choice is some other, then it works in another way. So this is depending on situation, the expression can change. So class two ways, configuration can be in two ways. Class configuration can be the class declaration, another one is class expression. Next, very important is class members. Generally a class can have directly only following members. A class can have directly only following members. What are those? A class can have a property, a class can have a method, a class can have an accessor, and a class can have a constructor. Nothing other than that. A class member can be only a property or a method or accessor or constructor. Anything else not allowed. Class member means directly the members of class. So in many interviews they ask like, so can we define a variable as class member. Can we define a variable as class member? No. You cannot define variable as class member. You cannot define a variable as class member. That means you see here, suppose we are creating some class. So class demo is class name. In this class, I am declaring var x equal to 10. It's not allowed. It is not allowed. So this says that unexpected token, a constructor or a method or an accessor or a property is allowed. Nothing else allowed. That means a class cannot have anything else as member. Class member can be any one of these four. So variable is not allowed in a class as a class member. It is written outside. Outside it is working because outside is module. Inside the class there cannot be variable. So can we define a variable as class member? No. Now the question is why? Why variable is not allowed as class member? What do you think? Why variable not allowed as class member? Because the point is, what is a class? Class is a template. Template means it contains logic and data which we must able to customize according to requirement. That means which we must able to change according to requirements. Am I right? But problem is variables are immutable. Immutable means you cannot change their structure. Variable structure cannot be changed. If variable structure cannot be changed, then how they are allowed? Template means everything should be mutable. In a template, everything should be mutable. Variables are immutable, and class cannot have immutable members as class members. Understood? Because as it is a template and can have only what type of members? Mutable members. This is the reason. So why a variable is not allowed in a class? Similarly, another important point is, can we define a function as class member? So the answer is no. You cannot have a function also. You cannot have a function as class member because same reason. So you see here in a class, I am trying to write a function. So function f1, it's not working. It says that function unexpected because only constructor, method, accessors are allowed. So the function is not allowed in a class. It is outside allowed. Inside the class, functions are not allowed because functions also same behavior. Functions also same. They are not allowed. But see the interesting part now. Now what we are doing is, inside the class, I declared a method. Method means, I will tell you the difference. Function and method we will discuss. This is a method. Now inside the method, I am using var x equal to 10. It is working. Now they will ask in interview, now justify your sentence. So is variable allowed in class? But it is working. Is variable allowed in class? It is not allowed in class, but it is now allowed. So that was not our definition. Variable is not allowed as a class member. Currently, is var x class member? No, it is a method member. It is the member of a method. So it is wrong if you say you cannot have a variable in class. We can have a variable in class, but variable cannot be a class member. Class member means direct members of class. That is what already question also I given. So in the question I given in the same way, I said that here. So can we define a variable as class member? As class member means what? Direct class members. So it's not a question like can we define a variable in class? So can we define a variable in class? We can. You see the definition I given, a class can have directly it can have only property, method, accessor and constructor. Inside them there can be others. That means now the same concept actually you can have a function also inside this method. So a class can have variables and functions, but they cannot be the direct members of class. They cannot be direct members of class. Direct class members means what? Only direct class members means only properties, methods, accessors, and constructors. So this is very important, and these are important questions. Now here, first we will see one by one all the members in class. One by one all the members in class. The first important class member is what? Property. Property. What is property is nothing but a property configures a reference. Property configures reference in memory of class to store some data. A property configures reference in memory of class to store data. That means actually where data is stored in memory, variables. In our JavaScript programming, we create variables. In variables, we store data. So data is stored in variables. Variables are storage locations in memory. But in a class, directly we cannot have variables. Then where the data is stored? So the data is stored in which location? It is stored in property. So what will happen is actually means architecturally, suppose we have a class demo. Now what happens is for this demo class, some memory is allocated. For this demo class, the memory is allocated. Actually, we have main memory. So actually, where is a class present? Class is present in module. Understood? For module, a memory is allocated. Now for a module, memory is allocated. In this module memory, a memory is allocated for class. That means a memory is allocated for class. This is class memory. In this class memory, we cannot declare a variable to store data. Then what happens? In the class memory, the data is stored. The data is stored. So to store the data, what happens is to store the data, we define a property. We define a property. Property is equal to whatever value you want. Suppose property is equal to 20. That means now what happens is this property name I can give anything. Suppose I given so ID as 20. Now in the memory it is allocated. So the memory is allocated by ID. In that ID what will be stored? 20. Now outside the module where data is stored, outside the module, we have var id 20 like this. If it is outside the class, we store data in variables. Inside the class, data is stored in what? Properties. That means now property works like a variable. Now the question, what is difference between a property and variable? What is the difference between properties and variables? Variable also stores the data, property also stores the data. So data is stored in a property. So property is configured in this way. So syntactically, we will have a class name. In this class, we just have a property and is equal to value. And what type of value you can store in a property? A property can handle any type of value. That means it can be primitive type or it can be non-primitive type. You can store any type of value. Then the question is, what is difference between property and variable? Variable and property. Difference is actually a property is mutable. Property is mutable, and variable is immutable. That means property can change according to state and situation. So but variable cannot change according to state and situation. Let's prove this point, how property can change according to state and situation. We will see that how it can change according to state and situation. Let's see. We have to prove this point. Property can change according to situation and variable cannot change. Right? Now see here. The concept I will show here is simply, suppose, so here we will see, suppose there is var variable price is equal to some 45,000 price. Now, can anyone access this price? Yes. Can anyone store data into this price? Yes. That means price is equal to, I can change the price. Now the point is, this price must be in such a way that it allows to change for few users and not for others. That means this price must be designed in such a way that people who log in with admin role, they can change the price. Others cannot change. So can variable change its behavior for like read only, read write? No. Variable is always read write. Variable cannot be read only. That means you cannot declare a variable which is read only. So we can do one thing. We can put constant. If we put constant, that means it is fixed. It cannot be changed. Now the question is, for few users it should change. For admin user it should change. For others it should not. Then constant is not good. If I put where, it is changed to everyone. If I put LET, it can be changed by everyone. LET also allows assigning. If I put const, it is read only for everyone. That means I want price in such a way that for few users it should allow to change. For few users it should not. For not only changing, even viewing also. For example, you see several websites like bikes, cars, real estates, when you see those websites, they will give car related details, and you want to see the price of car, then immediately they say that please fill this form and log in, then only we can show the price. That means if you log in, then price is visible, if not, not. That means we need to keep in such a way that it is not available to everybody. That means variable cannot change like this. Constant means always constant. Var LET means always reassignable. But property can change. Let's see how. What we will do is how property can change. First, we will create a class. The class name I will give as suppose product class. Okay. In this product class, we will declare a property name, any name. I will give underscore product name. That is property. It is currently empty. Nothing is there. Now, I already told you one point that traditionally we use underscore. Traditionally we use underscore to tell that for variable names, it starts with underscore. I told you the purpose if you remembered. So underscore, when we start with underscore, it means that it requires further implementation. That means it is not final. It requires further implementation. Now see what I am doing here. Above, I am declaring a variable called username prompt. Enter username. Okay. I am entering role prompt. That is, so that is your role. Okay. After that, I am entering product name. Product name is prompt. So enter product name. Now the point is, it should take all the three details. And if role is not admin, it should not allow to store the product name he entered. That means product name can be stored only the people whose role is admin. That means now into this property, somebody have to store a value. Now see, generally to store value, we can directly put here equal to product name. Understood? That means whatever you entered inside this prompt, this is available. Whatever you entered in the prompt, it is available here. But it should not allow to store for everyone. According to the user, it should change. Then what we do is, for this now, so yeah, for this what we will do is, we will create more control over this, and that control we can define by using accessors. That means property, actually, so property can be controlled by using accessors. Property can be controlled by using accessors. Generally, in OOP languages, we have two types of accessors. We call getter, is defined by using get, and we have a setter. Setter is defined by using set. So get is used to read value from property, and set is used to store value into property. That is for read and write. So directly we will not read and write. We will use accessors. What is advantage of using accessor? See now. So for this property, we will create accessors. How? We will put get alias name. We have to give an alias name. Alias name is for this property, reference for this property. We will give the alias name as product name. That means now this property can be accessed by using this name. But what is the behavior of get? Get should always return value. That means it should return what it should return underscore product name. That means whatever stored in this property, you can access by using the reference of what? Product name. Product name. Okay. Now I will use a setter. What setter will do? Same accessor, product name. It will take new value. After that, it will store that new value into product name. So you are not directly working on property. You are working through accessors. What is specialty now is why you are doing like this, why you are using an accessor, why you are not directly storing, why you are not directly accessing. What is advantage of accessor is, in this accessor we have to set the new value into product name, but can everybody set? No. Then we will write a condition. We will write a condition that if if role is equal to admin, if role is equal to admin, then only into this product name the new value must be stored. That means the new value must be stored. That means into this property this new value must be stored. And you know, in a class, in order to access the members of the class, we have to use the keyword this dot underscore product name. Here also we have to use the keyword this dot underscore product name. Just like object, the members of a class are accessed within the class by using which keyword? This. Now you can see we are accessing the product name and we are storing some value. If user role is not admin, then else what should happen? It should display a message document.write. It should say, so hello username. So this is the username. You are not authorized to set product name. This message we will give. So that means, or you can say your role and the role name is not authorized to set product name. Your role is not authorized to set product name. That is the message we are giving. And if it is admin, it will set. Okay, now the property is ready. Remember, only one property is there. And the property name is product name. Actually, we can directly work with a property. We can directly read value from property. We can directly store data into property. But we are now handling it by using accessors. So what an accessor should do? Syntactically, the get accessor must always return a value. So already it must return a value. What is it? Get alias name, and what it should do? It should return what? So it should return the property name. It should return the property, right? Another, we are using set alias name, and into that, so we have to take a new value. It should take a new value, and into the property name, into the property we have to set the new value. That is the getter and setter value. And already we discussed why we are giving an underscore. Who is this? Karthik, please wake up. Huh? Already we discussed. So why we are using underscore? So much time I explained already. He is still sleeping. Who is this? Karthik. Yeah. So what is underscore? Why we use underscore? Already that is a concept we discussed so many times. Huh? Now today also we discussed again, right? So it indicates that we have to further implement, right? Now technically, what is the concept of properties and accessors? Properties are for storing the data and accessors are for having more control over the properties. That means directly you can read a property, directly we can store data into property, store data into property, but we are doing it by using accessors because they can change the property behavior according to the situation. Now see, let's print this and see how. Means now what we have to do, we need to access this product name. From which class? Product class. In order to access the members of any class, we have to create a reference. So reference, I will give some TV. Into that reference, we need to load the memory of class. How to load the memory of class? New class name. Class name is what? Product. That's enough. So that means now the class is loaded into memory and that will be accessed by using TV. What is new? New is dynamic memory allocation operator. I already told you in array concept while working with arrays. New array, new date. What is new? New is dynamic memory allocating operator. It allocates memory for this product class and loads into memory. Okay. Now the members of this class are accessible by using TV. Now what we have to do, we have to write a logic. If TV dot, so product name is not equal to undefined. Not equal to undefined means it is defined. Or simply if you don't write like this, it indicates it is defined. That means if product name is defined with a value, we can directly write by using if, or we can configure in another way also, right? Right, we can configure in another way also. That means what we can do, TV dot product name is not equal to undefined. If it is defined, defined means if there is some value, then print that value. Print that value. That means what we have to do. So we need to take the value and print the value. That means we need to store the value. Na? How to store the value? TV dot, what is it? Product name is equal to whatever the product name entered in prompt. In this prompt, some name they entered. That name must be taken and stored here. We have to take the name and store here. If the product name is, first we will store that here. That means we will do like this. See, TV dot, what is it? Product name is equal to, into that whatever product name you entered in prompt. And if this TV dot product name is defined, that means it is having a value, then print it. How to print it? Document dot write. If it is having a name, then print it. So I will give name is equal to, how to access TV dot product name. Remember, you are not accessing by using direct property name. Is product name property name? It is not property name. It is its accessor. By using the accessor, you are accessing the value. By using accessor, we are storing a value. Now observe carefully here. What happens? You entered some product name in a prompt. It have to store this product name inside this property. But what it will do? Before storing, first it will verify this. Understood? That means whatever product name you entered, what will happen? First this product name, first that product name will be sent into here. After that, what it will do? It will verify is role admin. If role admin, then this value will be stored inside this product name. Understood? That means whatever the name you entered, is it directly stored in this reference? No. First it will verify whether the role is admin. If the role is admin, then only this value will be stored. That means this product name you entered, it is sent into this new value. That means now see what happens. I will run this and see. Now when I run this, it will first ask. So first ask, I will change this. Yeah. So I will run this now. When I run this, it will ask username. Username I given some John. It is asking role. Role I given, suppose customer, that is the role. And product name. Product name is some Samsung TV. Then it says you are not authorized. That means, hello, John, your role customer is not authorized to set the product name. Okay, let's do one more time. Username is John. Role is what? Admin. And here product name. Product name is some Samsung TV. Now you can see it is allowed. Only admin users can set the value. Others cannot. That means you entered some name David, some manager is the role, and product name is some Nike casuals, and it says David, your role manager is not authorized to set product name. Only people with the role admin so can enter the name. Nike casuals they can store, others cannot. Variable cannot behave like this. Variable, if you declare var, always it can store new value. For anybody, it can store new value. And if you declare constant, for everybody, it will prevent. But it should change. For few situations, it should allow. For few situations, it should not allow. Then that can be managed by using what? That can be managed by using accessors. Only property is not enough. Property needs what? Access. So technically, what is the purpose of accessor? First, what is the purpose of property? Property is to store the data and provide the data for your class. Why you are using a property to store data? Why not variable? Because property is immutable. Immutable means it can change according to situation. Variables cannot change. So how property can change? By using what? Accessors. What are accessors? Accessors are used to control the read and write operations on property. Accessors are used to control read and write operations on property. That means when to read, when to write. Is it situation for read is good? If it is good, allow reading, otherwise stop. I written only logic for setting. You can write logic for get. That means here what you can do, for get also you can write a condition. Here you can say that if user is username or if role is this, then allow to read, otherwise don't. That means we can set restriction for reading and writing. We can set restriction for both. So we have just set the restriction for writing. So we created a property and we marked it for further implementation. And we are implementing by using accessors. This is one example to understand what is a property and what are accessors. Actually, accessors have another role also. Accessors not only for this purpose, accessors have another role. For example, what is another role? Another example I will give here. See, what is another role for accessor is, suppose we have a class product. In this product class, we have name as a property. Into that, we will store some name. After that, we have customer rating. Customer rating is an object. In a property, you can store anything. You can store number, string, array, object, arrays of objects. Customer rating. In customer rating, so here I have one property. That means we have another property here. Suppose I will say first here rating. Okay, this is rating. In this rating means actually in this rating we have customer rating. The customer rating is again an object. We have another vendor rating. Vendor rating. Vendor rating is another object. That means object in object. Now in this customer rating, again we have rate. Rate is some 4.2, and count is suppose some 3500. Vendor rating is rate and it is 4.8, and count I given as 2, like this. There can be another object inside that object. Already such data we saw. NASA data we saw, rover, camera name, object in object, object in object. There can be any length there. Now tell me here, now we will create an object for which class? Product class. Now through this object, suppose this is TV is an object. Now tell me how to access customer rating. To access customer rating, a lengthy hierarchy is required. What is it? TV dot rating dot customer rating dot rate. This much lengthy. If there are many hierarchies, even more hierarchy you have to write. Very lengthy. This is difficult every time. Then what we do is we will simply put another technique for that. What is the technique is, we have rating and we will create an accessor, get customer rating. Customer rating is an accessor. What this accessor can do is it can return this dot rating dot customer rating dot rate. That's simple. Now what you can do, simply document dot write tv dot customer rating. That's it. You don't need to refer the complete hierarchy. What this tv dot customer rating will return, it will return the rate of this customer. That means now when we run this, that means it is going to print only the customer rating 4. This is more easy. Accessors are used for this purpose also. Accessors are not only for controlling read and write operation. Accessors are used to refer a alias name in such a way that you can access from any location. So if there is a very lengthy hierarchy, we can refer in this way. Now this is one example of accessors. That means here I will say you can also use accessors. So yeah, continue. So here what we need to define is a level hierarchy of elements. Multi-level hierarchy of elements is you can create an accessor for vendor rating. That means what we have to do, we need to give vendor rating, and how we can return this dot rating dot vendor rating dot rate, right? We can access this customer rating, and the customer rating is here we defined this dot customer rating, this dot not this tv dot customer rating. In the next line we have vendor rating. That's it. This is enough to access both the rating and display. So that is accessibility. So these are called what? Accessors. This is an example for accessor. So we have two important options. One is properties, another one accessors. Next important is what is difference between variable and property. I hope you can tell now. Property. So first point is what? So first point is variable. Variable is immutable, right? Immutable. Immutable means it cannot change. And so variable either constant or read write. Am I right? Either constant read write. So variable cannot be read only. Variable cannot be read only and read write state according to state. So that is what problem with variable. So what is property? Property is a mutable. That means it can change according to state and situation. According to state and situation, it can change. And it is controlled. Actually variable is controlled by using what? Property. Sorry, what is it? By accessor. It is controlled by using accessors. That means they can change the behavior from read only to read write. So that means accessors allow read only or read write. These two operations it can control. That is actually the concept of variable. Next important, in a class we can have methods. Methods are same like functions. So that means functionality in class is defined by using methods. All method rules are same like function means method parameters, method rest parameters, method parameter less, method with return, method closures. All concepts will be same like how you define for function. Then what is difference between function and method? So the difference between function and method, and actually so technically, so what is difference between function, method and procedure? Because in computer programming we have three things. In computer programming we have functions, we have methods, and we have procedures. In JavaScript we don't have procedures. In JavaScript we have only function and method. Procedures you will see in database, Oracle, SQL. You will hear stored procedures. You will learn about procedures in databases. Generally, what is difference between these three is technical. Actual difference is function is always intended to return a value. Function is always for returning value. That means actually, so function it is used for building expressions. Function is used for building expressions. Function is used for returning value. But method always will not return value. Method always will not return value. Method's intention is always not to return a value. But in JavaScript, function and method can have both behaviors. Same like I told you array. What is array? In many programming languages, array is similar type of values. But in JavaScript, you can use similar type values or you can use different. That is the reason for a JavaScript person, there is no difference between a function and a method. But in real world, so functions are always returning value. So, but methods will not return value. That means method will not use its method memory. Method will use class memory. Functions can use function memory by using return. When you use return, what will happen? I told you, function will use the function memory. But when you use method return, they will not use method memory. They will use class memory by using class memory only. So that is the reason they will not return a value. They will not return a value. Actually, it is not returning a value. It is like method always will not return value to store to store in its memory. So generally what happens, method uses which memory? Class memory. Method uses class memory. So that is the difference between function and method. Procedure, actually procedure can have the behavior of both function and method. Both function and method. That means it can return value or may not return value depending on situation. That means it can work as both. But we don't have such procedures in other programming languages everywhere. Database programming you will see. For example, actually, suppose in database programming we write so a procedure. That means we create a procedure. Procedure, some name, get products, that is the name. Now what happens here, we write a logic like select so star from TBL products. That means read all data from products. Now what is speciality here is, if there are products in the table, then it will allocate memory, and in that memory it will store the products. If there are no products, then it will not allocate memory, it will destroy the memory. That's good. That means generally if it is a method or a function, memory is allocated. If there are no products in the memory, it will be null, empty. But memory is allocated. In the memory it will be empty. But procedure's behavior is, if there is no value coming, then memory will not be allocated. Procedure will not allocate value if there is no, will not allocate memory if value is not coming. Method will allocate memory when you mention return. They will allocate memory when you mention return, but they will not allocate memory for procedure. If data is coming, memory is allocated. If data is not coming, memory is not allocated. But in function and method, always memory is allocated. That is why procedures are very good for database type programming. You will not see this everywhere. You will see in only database programming very much, and some procedure oriented languages are there. In that you will see procedures. Like we have a language called VB, Visual Basic. There you will find procedures. But here all we have only two, either functions or methods. Can we have functions in a class? Functions can be in class, but function cannot be a class member. Class member means what? Properties, accessors, methods. One more important, constructor. Now what is a constructor, how it works, that's important. That we'll see tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we will discuss about how do we work with the constructors. Then we will see some real-time examples, how to use these OOP concepts and put in a real world example. That we will continue in tomorrow's session. Okay, right.